Okay, the next element is the element of humor. If we talk about the pathetic situations that are there in Charles Dickens' novel, not only that Dickens is a master of pathos, he's equally great in creating humor as well, and is indeed one of the greatest humorists in English literature. If we talk about Hard Times, it is predominantly a novel of satire, using all the weapons in a satirist. We can say that are more like irony, sarcasm, mockery, and ridicule, etc. So these are the uh, elements that are there of humor in this particular novel. So there are several characters and there are several situations that are actually depicted by Dickens in a very humorous sort of way. Okay, you'll see that the character of Gradgrind, who towards the end becomes a tragic figure, as we have seen above, Bounderby, Mrs. Parsett, and the Hart House and Tom. All these characters are mercilessly, you will see that attacked by Dickens for their misleading philosophies, their greed, their vanities, and their totally false sort of values in life, right? Apart from that, the element of satire, which is cruel and actually almost spiteful, this novel also contains humor which is playful and indulgent. You will see that this kind of humor we have in um, all those situations in which Mrs. Grandkid appears, right? You will see that even the scene of her death or death scene is made amusing by Dickens because of some of her absurdities, because of the personality that person has depicted. Then the next is, if we talk about indulgent humor, it is also provided by the manner of in which Dickens portrays a character of Mrs. Sleary, whose lisping manner of speech. Lisping is actually related to the speech defect, right? This is very much like the defect that is there in a character, or we can say that whenever we used to speak something, we are unable to utter that word. For example, you'll see that in my previous video when I was trying to utter that word, that is utilitarianism. I was constantly actually trying my level best to actually uh, mm, pronounce it correctly, but I was unable to. The reason was this, that over there my tongue actually did not support to me. So that's the reason. This is one of the defect that is called as sometimes spoonerism in English. But you'll see that if we talk about this lisping, this is purely the defect. The moment we used to speak or utter something, we are unable to. So, and if we further talk about the character of Mr. Sleary, right? So you'll see that in this particular novel, uh, the his perpetual state of, we can say, that semi drunkenness is also depicted by Dickens in a very quite amusing way. Then if we further talk about Mrs. Parsett, right? Okay, there is a scene when she was actually um then there is the character of Tom, right? The way Tom is released from Bitzer clutches, you'll see that this scene is actually depicted by Dickens in a very humorous sort of way. The moment Tom was released from Bitzer clutches by the trained circus horse and the equally well trained circus dog, you'll see that this is a very humorous scene in this particular novel. Then Mrs. Fairset, when she was chasing Louisa and at the end losing track of her and therefore feeling discomforted. So this is one of the uh, funniest moment, or we can say that amusing scene in this particular novel. Then, and Mrs. Parset's inability to speak and her coughing and spluttering. Spluttering we mean that the sound that is full of choking and spitting, right? Because she was unable to say that Louisa has run away with her lover. So you will see that scenes actually these are the funny situations that appear in this particular novel. Then, last but not the least, critical point, or we can say that the point that is there in this commentary is that it is a fascinating sort of novel. According to the critics, right? So here we are going to go number of the views of different critics. According to one of the critic, Hard Times, though it has got a limited success, but it is an endlessly fascinating sort of work. So you will see that this is the work that is highly fascinating. How it is fascinating? You'll see that there is the schoolroom scenes, then the description of the Kirk town, the hateful yet comic portrait of Bounderby, and the account of Mrs. Parsett, frantic chase of Louisa, and then illustrate Dickens at his best, right? All these things are actually portrayed by Dickens in a very fascinating way, in a very beautiful manner. In these passages and scenes, you will see that there is the pressure of the author's language that creates enduring images of localities, characters, and events. Enduring images, we mean the images that are durable or everlasting, long lasting sort of images actually are portrayed by the writer. So you see that images that are liberated from the prosaic entailments of life. And okay, you will see that there is uh, Hard Times. It's very much like a masterpiece, right? But it remains, in his opinion, a work of great distinction. This is another view of the critic. According to that critic, he says that this is the very integrated work, that is the factory world into the world of nature and humanity. These two worlds are actually incorporated or integrated in a very fascinating way by the novelist, that is Dickens, right? So these are the important elements, important points from the point of view of novel. Thanks for listening this. Thank you so much.